Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I speak, train and write about the use of social media for recruitment. And I am, of course, joined by my co-host, Audra Knight, who is a fantastic employer branding nerd. I got it right this week. It's just so exciting. Today's guest has nothing to do with EB Fluff. Of course not. It's all very important. Of course. It's Zach Brown, and he is what am I calling you? The Director of Marketing and Sourcing. And I so want to know more about that.
Yeah.
So
strange title, right?
Well, they contradict each other. So tell us more.
Well, I work for a firm called DBI, David Brown International, and we are a consulting and executive recruiting firm that is focused exclusively on architecture and interior design. So we work in a very niche, area that has, I think, some unique needs. I take marketing and sourcing under my umbrella for a couple of reasons. When I came into DBI, I was a big part of helping build the sourcing element in the firm and starting to grow it. I don't think it was thriving in the way that I would have liked to have seen it, and then we made those changes. And this year really became a lot about getting DBI out there, helping people understand. I went to SourceCon last year, and I remember having some conversations with people, and they asked what I recruit for. And when I say architecture and interior design, I get the golden retriever look, like, really? You can sort it, you can recruit for that, and it's it's a big market segment. Yeah, there's a ton going on with it, but of course, it doesn't cross everybody's mind first. So social media has always
healthcare, aren't they? They just go those two niches. Yeah.
It's true. Social media was something that I have always been a part of. I've consulted on social media and how to use it as a marketing tool for a long time. And so it kind of made natural sense for me to step into that role for the firm as well. And so far it's worked out really well. It's a couple of very different hats. Some days they cross over in odd ways. But for me, it's fun. It's really exciting to be able to work in both spaces.
So do you help your agency with the marketing employer branding, or your clients, or both?
I was going to say yes.
Yeah.
Both. Initially, DBI was a little bit more of a traditional executive search firm, and then our clients started to ask for a bit of a deeper dimension in how we interacted with them. Architects are really great at being architects. They're very busy people. They get focused on doing that. They don't necessarily understand what it takes to tell their story to the rest of the world, whether it be their clients or potential employees. So they have some challenges that they need to learn how to handle. And I think it's a fair generalization to say that architects embrace lifelong learning. So for them, it was somewhat natural to say, hey, we don't know how to do this. Let's explore this together. Can you show us how to make this work? And so we said, sure, why not? Let's do that. It's been fun. I enjoyed it.
As an agency, you can get people in far more easily if they can see in, because it's like they're going to look before they reply or apply. So,
Absolutely.
But also there's another revenue stream for you in a market that's becoming tougher and tougher to make revenue in. I mean, thankfully, you're in quite a niche, as you obviously discovered at SourceCon. Which SourceCon were you at, by the way?
The one in Seattle last spring.
Ah, okay. I was going to say, it would be so cool if you'd been at the fall one, but we wouldn't have met. But I was there. Next one. Actually, no, not the next one. The next one after that.
Anaheim's in the fall.
I think
I don't know where the one next spring is yet. I haven't heard anything.
I think I have to wait for spring. I think I'm away next one. But anyway, we digress. I just love the way that you're doing that. So, because, I mean, to me, I don't see sourcing sitting purely alone anymore because of the fact that people won't reply without you having some brand. And do you agree with that? Like, I get quite annoyed about it, but that's just me.
Yes and no. I think I think sourcing, you can be an effective sourcer even for a company that struggles with their employer brand. You can absolutely do that.
What about
it's about knowing
brand, though?
Personal brand. I think if you're going to be a really good sourcer and you don't want people to think you're, take you from researcher in the front of kind of the recruiting funnel and then put you into the stalker realm, you better have a good personal brand. You better be somebody that people go, oh, he's checking out my social media. This is somebody that I want to talk to.
Yes.
Not, who's that person checking out my social media? Ugh. So yeah, you kind of have to have an open, I think, more friendly approach to it, where maybe in the past sourcers might have been a little bit in the shadows, kind of just quietly going about, their business until it was time to do some outreach or something along that line. But now, yeah, for me, it's networking all the time. So that works really well for both sourcing and marketing.
So do you think that sources stop before they make contact? Or do your sources make contact and then pass them over? Because this is a huge debate going on, isn't it?
Right, and I think the answer is certainly both. I think the answer was, I heard some statistic last year, something like 16 or 17% of sourcers are data only, meaning they don't make outreach, they don't make contact.
What was the percentage, sorry?
16 or 17%, pretty low.
Oh, right, yeah.
Which it makes sense, and it really depends on how you structure your recruiting team.
Yeah.
If you want, all your touches to come from a single recruiter and really go all in on building that relationship there, then sure, it makes sense to have a data-only sourcer. But if you want to give people, and the process maybe some different looks, give more than one person the chance to look at these candidates and evaluate and kind of be a little bit more thorough in that respect. I think it's good to have a sourcer that can reach out as well.
I think that should be as well.
Yeah.
Making contact, if I call it. I would not say that. You weren't here for our whole conversation about my Australian English, my British English, and my American English. There's one phrase I will not use. It doesn't correspond either. But actually, I'm looking forward to talking about stuff like that at Recruit DC, actually.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up soon, yeah.
It's exciting. But also talking about that, when you are doing your candidate outreach, as you guys like to call it, if you are recruiting abroad, you've got to change your language on top of everything else. All that personal time.
Yes, you got to change your language. You may have to change your mode of communication, depending on the market you're in. Email may work some places, Facebook may work for other places, and WhatsApp may be the thing that gets you to the candidate in other places.
Absolutely.
If you're not on IM platforms and taking advantage of that this year, you're already behind. So change what you're doing.
I love that little green tick. Oh, look, they've read it. Right. Oh, look at sweet Matt going, yeah, Recruit DC. So I can't wait. So I'm so excited. It's ridiculous. I haven't written my, don't tell Saucy Singapore this. I haven't written my presentation for 2 weeks' time in Singapore, but I've already started my Recruit DC one. Because I'm so excited about it. It's crazy because the other one's just as cool, but I'm just like, but you're so that with the WhatsApp, as soon as you see they've made contact, oh my God, you can go, oh, hey, Audra, oh my God, I see you. Well, you wouldn't say you see it, but you call right away or you reach out again straight away. I just said that American special. Shoot me. So have you encouraged your clients, hiring managers, to chart up their LinkedIn profiles and do a bit of branding and?
Definitely on the branding front. I've dealt with clients who really run the full spectrum of how they use social media, and in some cases, if they use social media. I've had some clients where I go to kind of do an evaluation of how they're having that conversation about their business, and I find out they don't have a single speck of a social media footprint. And
even from promoting their architectural firm.
Right. Not even so much as a Facebook business page.
Not even LinkedIn?
No. I mean, other than, maybe the very, very basic, like LinkedIn company page with the link to the website, that's it. But they're certainly not leveraging it. So I've seen that happen. And, for me, that's, bells and whistles and sirens and red flags going off. And definitely a conversation we need to have about how they're growing their business. Because there are other firms out there that are doing a phenomenal job. They are doing the social media piece, but more importantly, they're doing the content piece, which so many people figure, well, I'll just do social media. Well, if you don't have content, what's the point in doing social media to begin with? So I see a lot of firms that, to me, I think the gold standard of what they should be doing in our space is having architects' voices being heard, who's working on the project. If you're doing something that, say you're working on a passive house project, or something that's really leading edge in the eco-friendly world, have somebody from that team talking about the challenges of trying to build a better greenhouse, or to make a commercial building more environmentally friendly. To hear that from somebody who's tackling those problems every day makes so much more of an impact than a press release or copywritten, ad-friendly, posts on the website.
Absolutely.
So that's something
as Jackie Clayton's just written what I was thinking, that would be cool for all of us. And I love watching. So we have the BBC has a big, goes in and helps people who need a new house. So they have these big house projects, and they're always using the latest and talking about it. And it's so exciting as me, as who's not an architect. So I'm sure another architect's going to want to work in a project like that, aren't they? When it's doing something
absolutely
good for the planet.
Architects are typically very passionate about the sector of architecture they choose to be in. Especially the sustainability conversation is becoming bigger and bigger. So they're going to look for firms that are the genuine article when it comes to doing that type of work. And I think any company can learn a lesson from that, in that and I have to say, I see so many articles out there on people going, employer branding is garbage, we're wasting too much money, too much time, all these other things.
Yeah.
And the only way I could possibly agree with that is if it were to be a scenario where employer branding is the only thing you're doing. If you think it's the silver bullet, you're wrong, and that's a problem. And I think that's something in our industry around recruiting, we suffer from silver bullet syndrome. So much so that I even see people writing articles naysaying something before anybody said that this is the answer. So we've become a little cynical, as a group, I think. But yeah, it's
those of us that
one
speak and blog and get out there, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one component that requires other tools to be used as well. So
like
it's not
your
just
other hat, the sourcing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
If
absolutely.
you're not creating the audience to see your content, what is the point? You're just spraying it out there. So I know Katrina Kibben, who's on the on the side channel here, I know I've had this conversation with her as well. Like, if you're not doing that piece, there's no point. So it's in a way, it's good you have the two hats, even though they still contradict me in my head.
Or a compliment.
It's certainly it's very engaging to work across both spaces. So it definitely makes me think every day, which is a great aspect of my job.
So do you have a mark? Oh, sorry, Audra, go.
Do any of your clients have like an employer brand person, or is that just too new to the?
If they do, it's typically a much larger firm. You're not going to see that, I think, in the small firms. When you're looking at a firm of maybe 35 people or less, from the business model perspective, I don't think they have the space to do that. And I think it's going to be a long time before they will. But the larger firms are definitely playing in that space. When you look at, companies like Gensler and HDR, which are huge global architecture firms, they absolutely understand that their mark is important, and they've got to curate that. They've got to have that conversation even before that person they're after comes along. So, yeah.
Are they ones that you'd hold up as doing it right?
Sometimes.
Who's your favorite? Who's your fave?
I do think
it's not shaming, so it's good.
I think IA Interior Architects, they are a global interior design firm, and I think they do a fantastic job of not only kind of curating their external brand, but also giving a little bit of insight of what it's like to be a designer there. They're very upfront about what life is like in their firm, and I think they're somebody to look at in our space to say, hey, yeah, they're doing it well.
And how do they do it? Is it video or photographs? Or?
They use video. They use a lot of visuals, a lot of photographs. I mean, obviously, the design world is a visual world. So they do a very good job, I think, of taking you into the spaces that they design as well as the ones where they work. If you've ever been to a great design agency, the space they work in is stimulating. It's amazing. And so that becomes part of their employer brand as well. I mean, I think workplace design in the last 10 years has crept into our, kind of mind share when we think about where do I want to work? It's, well, what kind of space do I want to be in every day? So that's even part of your employer brand too.
And I think it's cool as well. So in January, I went to Zalando Tech in Berlin. So Zalando is a huge online retailer, all clothing, etc. They're just under Amazon in Germany, if you were looking for online retailers. And I could tell what I could wear and what the environment was going to be like before I got there. And when I got there, it was exactly like that. And it was such a cool place. And I think that's when it's so lovely, when they open that door. But also doing it the other way. If your office is shitty, show your shitty office so people can choose to work there or choose not to. Whereas,
be proud of it.
Well, yeah, I don't know how many times I've talked about the company I know that interviews the buyers in the posh London offices and then sticks them out in Slough, which I think is where you're trying to recruit, Audra. Sorry, say that. And then it's just the worst place, and they leave within 3 months. Like, just show what it's genuinely like, and people can choose.
Well, and oh, go ahead, Audra.
Well, I just don't think the higher ups are going to be super excited about you. It's going to be tough to get the buy-in to show the shitty place.
But if you're just showing, here's Zach sitting currently in his room with his beige wall, well, there's a photo of Zach gone out, like just a photo in the office of people, and they can work the environment out behind. Or they should be proud enough to get somebody introduced in workplace design.
Absolutely. Well, it's, I had one client who worked in a fantastic, really historic neighborhood in Seattle, and all their team photos had a gray background. It felt very DMV, but
that's like the driver registration thing, isn't it? DMV.
Yeah. And it shouldn't look like a driver's license photo. If you work in a historic neighborhood, show that neighborhood, give that flavor of, what you're going to be walking into work every day. Like, and like you said, if your office is awful, well, you know what? There's a lot of startups that have folding tables. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that love working in a startup environment because they thrive on things that have nothing to do with aesthetic. Yeah. At least in their office. So yeah, I totally agree. Embrace who you are and then tell the story well. And I think that's where you win.
I think my office, if the screen wasn't up, you'd be seeing my kitchen. And occasionally the dog. Huh?
You said there's a screen?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's very high tech of you.
Because I just moved across to the other side. Yeah. The sun is now coming in this side from compared to every other week.
I gotta get a screen.
Yeah, no, it was, because seriously, it's a bad look behind me. So it's like, just remove the noise. But when you're on these, it's kind of different, isn't it? Whereas, you just see a bit.
A little bit, like, I haven't decorated yet back here. We just moved in, so I've got blank walls still, which.
Oh, how exciting. Blank canvas.
Yeah. Next time we talk, hopefully I'll have some interesting backdrop for you.
I'm hoping some of these guys will ask some questions down the side other than just saying g'day.
I have a question. Does anyone use Instagram just because you're talking about these beautiful visuals and photos? Yeah.
I use Instagram a lot. Yeah. I use it both personally and for our firm, and I encourage the firms to do so. I'd say in the architecture and design space, there is a little bit of a difference in the social media they choose. They may not enjoy Facebook as much, but they're going to love Instagram. They're going to love Snapchat. They're going to love anything where you can really dive into the visual engagement a little bit more. And I think the other thing they also realize is the mobile nature of it all. So Instagram allows them to convey a message a lot better than forcing someone to sit down and read a huge Facebook post. Yeah. So that works really well for them. For us, it does too. We actually use it for everything from, kind of showing what's going on with us to posting jobs, to posting blogs. We treat Instagram like, any other channel and go for full engagement with people.
How do you post jobs? Just like a visual...
Yeah, I design the graphics for our Instagram, and the graphic lets you know what city it's in. It lets you know.
I want to know.
Look up at DBI Jobs.
DBI Jobs. Okay.
And that's our firm Instagram. And then I have an actual link you can cut and paste. I talk a little bit about the job in the Instagram post because you can put a ton of text in there. Then open it up to DMing and say, hey, if you got questions, you can't go to the link right now. Shoot me a DM. Let's talk.
Love that.
So that works better. That works better for you though, because your jobs are all sort of in a similar category. Where if you had a big company, every kind of job, I think it would just be spam.
Yeah,
but in your case, it's great.
So Audrey, you were messaging me because the reason Audrey asked was she was messaging me about Instagram and techies, and I'm going like, seriously, techies are everywhere. So don't generalize. But they want to see it as well, and they are using Instagram. But I think where a lot of people miss the trick, and I've just put the if this then that recipe into the side channel, is to get your visual from Instagram onto Twitter, so that therefore it's not really an effort to use an extra channel, because you're getting it rather than the link going out onto, because that's what tends to happen.
In the sense that you get the visual on Twitter, or do they have to click over? Because I hate that.
No, because of that. Then that recipe, all of my images go into all of my photos on Instagram go into Twitter. All of them, all of them. So you be warned. As an actual image, not a link.
That's great.
You don't hit the Twitter button when you share. So
I actually use I do separate graphics for both Instagram and Twitter. And if you haven't used, there's a tool called Canva out there, which is, I love it. And it gives you the ability to resize. If you've ever done design in Photoshop or Illustrator or anything, the fact that you can just resize as easily as you can as Canva and fine tune it for the channel that you want makes it super easy, super fantastic. I generally avoid
did that just say graphic design for dummies? I think it just did.
It is, yes.
So I'm sure that's what I just saw. But the only reason I do it on Instagram is just because that way it's going out as an image with all of your hashtags and everything.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's really cool.
That's why I do that. But there's only me, whereas I don't have the time to do the two.
Zach, have you heard of something called Insta Job? And I don't know enough if it's good or bad. I just heard about it. It's interesting. It might be terrible. I don't know.
I've seen the hashtag, and I saw kind of an inkling of a company. It looks like they're trying to set something up. I don't know. Is it one of those apps where it's kind of like Tinder for jobs kind of thing?
Well, you take a picture and then you pick, and it automatically like puts the job title over the picture all on your phone.
Oh,
and then you
no, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, it looks interesting. I can't say either way though because I haven't used it, but it looks interesting.
I kind of like what Canva I do though.
Canva's fantastic.
But Canva, do you need a desktop or no?
You do need a desktop. If I have to do something on the fly on my phone, which I've got an iPhone 6 Plus, which might as well be a flat screen TV. So I've got plenty of workspace. But I use an app called Over, O-V-E-R. It's an iPhone photography app that actually allows me to put in floating PNG files. So like I have our firm logo in a floating file, and I can drop that and brand any image that I've got on my phone. And it takes me all of 30 seconds.
I'm so loving you right now. Just loving you right now. It'll all make sense in a few weeks why I'm loving you right now. I'm just currently going to post our picture. Oh gosh, we look so happy in it as well. You've got your mouth wide open. You've got a question in from Katrina as well. So have you been tracking any metrics on the different channels?
As much as I can, yes. And I think understanding what metrics to track when, I think, is important. Initially, I think when you're getting accounts off the ground, looking at the number of authentic users you are actually getting as followers.
Yeah.
Do not buy your followers. Do not take any shortcuts. Organically grow your platforms. That's a pet peeve of mine. But because I got to tell you, 50 engaged followers are way better than 5,000 spam garbage followers any day of the week.
Yeah.
So I think paying attention first to what the size of your audience is, what their actual market segment is. Are you attracting people that actually care, in my case, about architecture and interior design jobs? Or have I tapped into the Instagram, architecture fanboy market, which there's a huge one, that they're not architects, they never will be, and they just like pretty buildings,
Yeah.
So I got to know who I'm looking at. But I think the channels that metrics are most important to me right now are probably Facebook and Twitter when it comes to social media. So those are the ones that I look at.
Yeah, I completely agree with that not buying followers thing. Because I actually had a really small Twitter following. It's gone up. I think it's still only about 6,000 compared to some out there. But it still opens so many doors for me because I'm so pure to what I'm talking about all the time, and it's the right people following, the right people engaging.
Yep.
So, I mean, Instagram in a way is similar. It takes time to build it up. But I love that cross-posting thing. So currently doing that's why I'm not paying you any attention. It's all multitasking. So next week we're talking Instagram as well.
Yeah.
That's okay. Yes. If you do it well and I can't tell that you're doing it, then you're winning. So.
Yeah.
Like I saw you mentioned on one episode you were talking about not using the shortened URLs when you're doing automation for your social media. You know, at least look like you're trying, which I agree with too.
You mean like buff.ly?
Yeah,
friggin' hide it behind a bit.ly link. Like, why would you?
Right?
Yeah, man, it's the little things. Of course, you should.
That's true.
My blog posts auto spit. I mean, I'm shocking, but I make sure I go in and properly engage as well.
Yeah.
So I go in and I retweet and I talk and I chat and I thank and I do all that rubbish. But no, automation in the right place.
And you have more time to engage.
Sorry?
Yes, this is true too.
Then you have more time to engage.
Yeah, I had that endorphin thing where I have to constantly check notifications. You know, when you're like, who's retweeted me? Who's talking about me? Is there a conversation going on? It's shocking. Sitting there on the desktop going, changing color.
It's because you have a millennial mindset.
Yeah. So social media always is running in the background of my mind. It's an app that never really shuts down. So.
But it's opened so many doors for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely.
Twitter will be the reason I'm speaking at Recruit DC for sure.
Yeah. In the show right now.
Yeah. This show.
Oddly enough, I've had good experiences with brands specifically because of social media as a consumer, and you can make those kinds of kind of delightful moments happen for candidates as well. One moment I had as a consumer, my wife and I were down in Scottsdale, Arizona. We went to, and I'll say the brand because I think they're fantastic. We stayed at the W Hotel down in Scottsdale. We were on our way. We were just taking a few days to, enjoy some sun and get out. And I just happened to tweet that that's where we were headed. And I mentioned it on the way there. As we checked in, we, shot a quick picture, tweeted that out. They responded to it. Hey, great to see you guys here, blah, blah, blah. By the time we got up to our room, they had champagne, chocolate-covered strawberries, and a handwritten note from their marketing team saying, hey, we saw your tweets. We loved them. It kind of encourage you to keep sharing. Enjoy your stay. Let us know if you need anything. That, for me, was huge, because I would just
like to say all I got from Southwest Airlines was free Wi-Fi, which I thought was great, but you've just made me feel like that was nothing. No, I loved it. That was all from tweeting. I tweeted a photo out the window, got free Wi-Fi, so it's always worth it. I completely agree.
Can't beat that, yeah.
No.
I'll take free Wi-Fi.
You had a candidate one as well. Oh, sorry. Have a sip. Drink. Wait.
Jug.
I am interested in finding more brands that are using it to really engage candidates. I talk to candidates on social media. I've heard so many people go, well, how many people have you directly recruited as a result of Twitter? I can tell you, I have it in the files. Yeah. It's not uncommon, at least once a month, for me to have a dialogue with somebody on Twitter and say, hey, let's take this offline. Let's, I believe in this maxim, get online to get offline.
Yeah.
If you're getting online to stay online, you're wasting everybody's time, including your own. But
you can also nurture the ones for the longer term who aren't ready yet. And you can just keep them engaged, keep them as a friend, a follower, fan, whatever you want to call them.
Absolutely. But I think you should always be looking for those actionable moments.
Absolutely.
I've had plenty of candidates that were difficult to reach otherwise. I happened to notice that they were active on their Twitter less than an hour ago. Awesome. I shoot them a tweet that just says, hey, would love to chat, DM me. That simple. Don't have to go, crazy over the top or anything like that. I get a DM back, hey, what's up? And the conversation begins. So it can help you get your
somebody you'd already formed a relationship with, though?
No. Somebody I'd never talked to before in my life.
Maybe that's the less cynical architectural space. I don't see developers doing that. Here's the thing. My experience comes with a caveat. I don't recruit tech. I don't intend to recruit tech. I love recruiting tech. Yeah.
It's a very different space. In-mails still work in architecture. They get laughed at in tech. You know, but nobody in architecture is getting blasted with so many emails that they can't see straight. They're going, hey, someone took the time to send me a message here. Great.
Yeah.
I know it's like 20
and
years ago.
I really like as well. You're just like, hi, because I'm not going to say hey. Whoever it is, I'd love to chat. Can you DM me? You're not actually saying what it's about. Whereas I see people going, you know, at Headhunter Zach, read this now, do this now. And it's like, oh, want this job, or really forcing it instead of just opening a conversation. And I guess they probably don't find it offensive when you're just like, I'd love to chat. It could be about anything.
Right.
So
and
like,
the key is be a person, be a human being, and treat them like a human being. In fact, actually last year, the Seattle SourceCon, there was a fantastic panel they did where they brought in these very sought after tech candidates. They flew them in from all over the US and these people were brave enough to walk into a room with 600 recruiters and tell them what they really thought of them.
Yeah.
Which was it was an engaging session. It was great. But the bottom line, what it all boiled down to was treat me like a person. Stop treating me like a metric. I can feel it when you do that. Yeah. You know, and I think that's
like money, like a placement.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's true across the board that regardless of the space that you work in, you have to treat people like a person, even on social media. Well, especially on social media.
I mean, you're quite a small company, aren't you? So it's probably a little bit easier. But I often am up in front of the corporate space where they're saying that we're not allowed to tweet as ourselves, not allowed to, but they're allowed to use the phone as themselves.
Yeah,
and it's like,
I think it's time for companies
interaction.
Companies really need to start treating people like the adults that they hired.
I love it.
It's absolutely true. If they can't trust you to run a Twitter account, why should they trust you with anything that costs the company any money? Like, let's be grown-ups together. And so I think the great thing about being in the firm I'm in is we have a lot of flexibility to be creative. And I've talked with recruiters both on the corporate side and even in a large agency where they're so suffocated that they can't make so much as a decision to sneeze if it relates to social media, much less actually use it for sourcing, for marketing, for, getting the word out. Even things as simple as, hey, I want to make a little graphic for my Instagram to advertise this job we've been struggling to get the word out about. Just crickets. They get met with, we'll get back on that. And 3 months later, there's nothing. And the job's still sitting open.
Crazy.
So.
Or I find you get the other extreme, as I got myself into trouble when I was speaking in Dallas by saying the company was in the room and I didn't know. Oops. But anyway, you get the other extreme where the marketing is taken completely over. And I will say Coca-Cola's page, and they have an amazing marketing page and it's got 1 million fans or whatever, and they're just ignoring them all. So all the job seekers are writing, I want to work for you. And it's like, but hang on, this is LinkedIn. Like, this really is really about business and jobs. And
right.
It's like, God, yeah. I do love that. Maybe it's time to treat them as adults.
It is, it's true.
For those of us old enough to remember when email came out and how scary it was to get given permission to use that initially.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. I didn't even think there were still companies where they wouldn't let you use Facebook. That still happens.
Oh yeah. It absolutely still happens.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there are some companies out there that if you have any professional association with them whatsoever on your social media, they're going to be on you. Like, it's sad.
Really sad.
Yeah.
And they're going to.
I trained a mental health trust here, looking for nurses, Audra, and they're banned. And they're banned from using Google Chrome. So it's just like, oh, seriously, this is all ridiculous. You can't use Chrome to get to the great Chrome extensions, to get the great people on Facebook, to send them a message, to fill their 28 or 48 or however many ridiculous vacancies it was. They're about to shut wards at the mental health hospital. It was ridiculous. Yeah, so they just took their laptops down the pub and used their own personal laptops and Wi-Fi. But, like people, you're fine. But it's like, come on, They're
losing such an opportunity with employee advocacy.
Yeah, and that's pay dirt right there. If you don't let the people that are inside, if you're treating it like you work for the NSA and you're in a big classified box with blacked out windows, and then you want to invite somebody to come work there, and they don't know anything about you because nobody's allowed to say a word. You start thinking that it's some kind of, you know, government work camp, and they're making little rocks out of big rocks in there, and I don't want to go work there. You know, the worst case scenario. But yeah, I agree. I think they need to grab the employee engagement at the very basic level on LinkedIn. If not other platforms. I mean, I know Amazon does a very good job of, you know, when you come into Amazon, of actually leveraging your LinkedIn connections almost right away, you know, and understanding your network and finding out how can we, you know, continue to find great people this way. That's cool. There are a lot of companies that do it.
That's awesome.
So I love what Katrina Kibben's written down the sides here as well, which is Robin Schooling works at a casino in Baton Rouge where all social sites are blocked, or were when she started. And Jackie Clayton's written most corporations are still Windows shops, aka no Chrome, which is just crazy.
Wow.
Black cat.
Yeah, well, that's Charlie back there.
Sorry,
he usually works over my shoulder most days.
Yeah.
I love it. Seriously, I couldn't work in an office unless I could take the dogs in. So. Yeah. Because the Labrador makes me finish my day because he comes and he badgers me eventually, going like, "Come on," and the other one just sits next to me all day and gives me company. It's lovely. Cute. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
It's true.
So, we're not getting any questions from our side channel. We're really quiet. Considering who's down there, that's really strange. I'm sure they're listening. I'm sure Tony Melling has a question or three, seeing he's in a similar space. So, I always
Zach, where did you get your marketing training, or did you just learn on the spot? Marketing side.
Most of it was learned on the spot. I think I kind of have a unique background. You know, my love of sourcing came from my time in the military. I did intelligence work for almost 6 years, and they taught me to enjoy snooping. And then when I got out, I actually spent the better part of 10 years in the entertainment industry as an audio engineer and a producer, owned a recording studio, worked with touring artists, and social media was in its uber infancy at that point. And it was something that the music business at a grassroots level jumped on immediately. So we were, you know, talking about it then when people were still trying to figure out how to log into Facebook. You know, we were like, how do we get music on here and how do we do it now? You know, and there was a time when MySpace was a more used platform, you know, and some people don't remember that, but you know,
Audra, do you remember
MySpace early
on? Yeah, young.
Yep. I never had an account, but it was cool
actually,
for a bit.
Jose know what? Oh my God, he's just giving you a heads up. Just that Jose must know. Does he know what MySpace is? He's so young. Bless him.
Bet it doesn't.
He does. He has one. I still have one. It's still there somewhere, dead. I'm not using it. I want to ask Lane Sutton. Where's Lane Sutton when we need him?
So yeah, I cut my teeth on the social media side there and kind of honed it, and ended up, you know, I started getting invited to consult for small political organizations and for small mom and pop businesses. And I kept going and going and going and just learning as I went and seeing what worked. I think a lot of marketing is, you know, about testing your theories and listening, looking for data, finding out what actually works and what doesn't, not going, you know, I think this is going to work, so I'm going to go all in on it. Well, test it out, try it out, get to know your audience, learn how to, you know, engage your audience. So that's kind of how I learned by doing a lot of the time.
Wow, really interesting.
I got tagged in a post this morning. Ivan Harrison is hilarious because he knows exactly how to wind me up. So he tagged me in a typical typecasting via age. This is how we want to be communicated with post. Like one of those, well, you know, I'm a Gen X, therefore I expect an email. Well, actually, like you said, what's that mean? That kind of thing. So, but it's exactly what you're saying. Try it out. If it doesn't work, shift direction. It's the easiest way. I also say always go and talk to the business. So, which is obviously harder on the agency side, but the in-house recruiters, go and talk to your staff. Where are you hanging out? Are there any forums? Are there any meetups? Are there any somewhere else that they're hanging out and chatting with people?
Yeah, well, and for us on the agency side, those are questions that we're asking. I mean, as a part of our kind of initial conversations around jobs, you know, and this is something that we're not order takers. You know, we're not here to just, oh, you need a project manager? I'll run out and get you one. I want to understand what you need in that role. And maybe it's because it's architecture and design, things like aesthetics start to become more important, and the way they think and problem solve. But we're having those conversations. We're saying, look, what have you done with this position? Where are your people? Are your people on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? Show us. Let's explore this together. So I think it's important to have those conversations, especially as an agency, because we're not there every day in their firm. But, you know, I guess a lot of agencies don't have those conversations.
Yeah, I suppose a lot I deal with are in the IT space again, and they're just not going to let them have those conversations because they expect them to know. Or it's more, well, we'll cut you out of the picture and find them ourselves. Whereas I think you're probably in a less competitive. So if they're actually, a lot of the companies you serve smaller as well, so they don't have the resource to do the recruiting?
Yes, it's the full range. I think we see firms that don't have the ability, the resources to have an HR component, to have a recruiting component, so they need the help in that space. But we also see companies that have a, you know, full HR and recruiting team, and they go, hey, we just don't know how to make this happen.
Okay, that's cool. So they'll still talk to you, which is really cool. Bloodcat choosing.
Some of them are more willing than some of them are more willing than others. You know, but yeah, I think you get that no matter where you're working.
So where's the most unusual place you found an architect then? Being that you love the internet snooping, or are they just in the obvious places?
Some of them are in the obvious places. Some of them definitely aren't. There are certain, you know, architecture's funny because architects, I think more than many professions, especially kind of old, real practiced professions, they come from all walks of life. There was a fascinating article on why you see television characters are always portrayed as architects in a lot of shows, like the dad from the Brady Bunch and Ted from How I Met Your Mother, and you know, all these people. Well, it's because architects are very, very diverse. So I can find architects who are in a band. I can find architects who are obsessed with chair design in their free time. I found one guy on a watercolors forum because he actually is a phenomenal watercolor artist who also happens to design high-rise buildings really well. So yeah, you have to be very observant, very aware, and just willing to go down the rabbit hole and find people where they are, which is the other thing. You know, I think expecting them to come to you, those days are long, long over, especially in this market right now. It's, you know, people are throwing elbows for talent right now. So you definitely have to go out and pull them out on their own.
Yeah. But also, I think with on the back of find people where they are, is also don't make assumptions about where people are. Audra, re-Instagram. I wrote her capital letters. I was yelling at her when I replied.
But at least I asked. I did ask.
Yeah. No, but I think a lot of people will say to me, and I do get quite a kick out of showing them up in training because I can be a bit annoying like that. I mean, nicely, but they'll say they're not there. And I had one the other week, and it's like, okay, well, let me show you that they are, because you can't say to me of the 1.5 however many billion that are on Facebook that your architects aren't there, your developers aren't there, whatever. They're there.
They're absolutely there.
Because they're there to chat with their family like the rest of us. You know, it's so it's fun.
Yeah, it's just figuring out how to find them there. Even if they're not tagging themselves as working for that company, there's other ways to find them there.
Absolutely.
Do you reach out to them on Facebook ever, Zach?
I will, absolutely.
Yeah.
I notice a lot of people are still very touchy about doing that, but I haven't had anybody get upset with me. Actually, here's the funny thing. I've had more people get upset getting a phone call on a work line or an email on a work email than I ever had reaching out via Facebook.
Yeah.
but I hear so much more pushback from reaching out via Facebook in the recruiting world.
Yeah.
So I'm not quite sure if it's just a personal block saying, well, I don't know. In some industries, maybe it's not appropriate. But in ours, it seems to be fine. I mean, as long as I'm not coming on like the sales in-mails that everybody's getting on LinkedIn right now, if I'm not that guy, if I'm an actual person on Facebook, I usually get an actual person response. So it's kind of good.
So I've got a potential client who met me at a conference. We connected on LinkedIn, but she's actually been sending me messages via Facebook, which I just think is the coolest. And I'm like, yay. And Jose wants to understand that. So how does that initial contact through Facebook happen? What do you say, etc.? So if I can just answer that for 1 second, you have to write everything on the first line, though. You got to get them to open it. So if you don't write across the first line, if you do like old school, hi Katrina, comma, enter, they might know. You've definitely got to go, Katrina, blah, 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 straight off. Yeah. Even though that grates against my old school education, but yeah. But Zach, I'll let you answer the rest of that.
I totally understand and I agree with you, Katrina. I actually read a book recently called Everybody Writes by Ann Handley, which is a fantastic book if you ever write copy or do anything.
What's the name?
Everybody Writes by Ann Handley.
Handly?
I believe so, yeah. And I'll double check that after the show too. She helped me get over my traditional education in writing and letting go of those things so I can, have more of a human dialogue. But that initial contact in Facebook, first off, for those of you that don't know, they changed the way Facebook messaging works. Even if I'm not friends with Audra and I want to send her a message.
Yeah.
It used to go to this mystery second inbox. It no longer does that. It actually notifies them, hey, you have a message notification.
Yep.
So that change, I think, was really solid.
Just unless
unless you've been blocked, which if that case, you might have overstayed your welcome anyway, so don't try to recruit them. I'm just very open, and I don't info dump to answer your question, Jose. I don't, come up and go, hey, I got this job. Here's the whole job description. When are you ready to relocate? Come at them and say, hey, I found you on Facebook. I really didn't want to disturb you at work. So I figured it might be nice to message you here. I'm a recruiter, would love to talk with you. Here's my info. We can talk here. We can talk somewhere else. Just let me know what works for you. Leave it at that, and it's a normal approach. I don't think it's not about overloading it with, super strategic copy or anything like that. Just be the person that you are. And I got to say, for somebody like Jose, who his Snapchat's awesome. It's really fun. It's really engaging. I think it does really well with his brand. Be yourself, Jose. And I think when you reach out on Facebook, you'll probably see similar feedback.
Yeah, for sure. We've got another question. This is so exciting. They're all finally coming in. They've woken up. What were they doing the rest of the day? I just love the earliest one, so I want more questions. You see, I should just use it for myself. So what partnerships do you need to create in order to achieve your marketing strategy? Ooh, a very formal question from the Clayton.
Yeah, very formal. Personally, in my organization, I think I need partnerships with everyone. I need partnerships with the recruiting team, with my people on the sourcing team, with the executive leadership. I need to have partnerships across the board to have a very open and honest dialogue on how to market us well, and to get their buy-in and support. Marketing is a team sport. And you need everybody on board. And I think if your message is authentic and engaging, the people who are part of your firm are going to want to share that. They're going to want to say, hey, this is who I work for. I'm proud of this. So I think those are all very, very important things. And I think that's how you should at least initially look at it, regardless of where you are and what your company does and how you're trying to market, is say, I've got to have these key conversations with people throughout the company to really build a legitimate and effective marketing strategy.
And I think it's also getting the people that are wanting to do it as well, isn't it? That's the other, don't force someone to do it. No. Sorry, Audra. That was a statement anyway.
No, it's absolutely true. I'm so confused about your team. So there's a recruitment team, and there's the sourcing and marketing.
Yes, they're all different elements. We do it a little bit differently. I want the recruiters spending more of their time, and when David set the firm up this way, it was with the intent that the recruiters are going to be spending a lot more time being exceptionally relational, and being very, very engaged there.
Okay, could you translate that into English for me? What does exceptionally relational mean? Jesus, that's
network.
Less than just a canned email response. I want them, having the time to have full conversations rather than saying, I have so many job recs that I can't give the candidate the time they deserve, and I can't give the client the time they deserve. I've just got to keep touching these plates and keep them spinning. And that's one thing I really like about DBI is they put their money where their mouth is as a company when it's time to say, we care about the candidate, we care about the client, so much so that we build a model around it to give our recruiters time to keep everybody engaged in the process. So
how do you get that across
how
do you get that across when you're looking to get new clients? Because I've got a new client, and she does like proper testing and proper interviewing, and which is really rare in the space she's in. And it's like getting that across to potential new clients is quite hard, or existing ones know, so they really trust us. But when you're trying to open a door, everyone's going, I'm a fantastic new recruit. Like, how have you, candidate testimonials or?
Testimonials, I think it has to be a very candid conversation during the business development process when we're talking to new clients. Part of that might just be asking, hey, it sounds like you might have worked with a recruiter in the past. What didn't you like about that experience? And just let them vent for a few minutes about recruiters, because a lot of people have something to get off their chest in that area. And then once they do that, we can say, hey, well, here's how we're a little bit different. And it's something that I think is sewn into the way we talk about our firm, especially with potential clients. We want them to understand that this is not kind of a meat grinder mentality when it comes to recruiting. We're going out. We love our market space. We want to be masters of our market. We want to understand trends and be able to advise our clients and our candidates before things happen. I mean, last year, I'd say in the space of about a month and a half, we could see the shift happen when it really leaned into becoming a candidate market. And we were able, because we were so plugged in, we were able to advise people on that, as it was happening. And that was exciting for us. So I think just being able to talk about it, being able to have those dialogues and pull out the things that people don't like about working with the stereotypical recruiter allows us to show that contrast. So and we talk about it on our website and things like that, but it's better experienced and better talked about, I think, in a conversation.
Like it. Wow. Have you got any?
Well, you didn't talk about.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, you didn't talk about the sourcing and marketing, how they work together, or is it marketing separate from sourcing?
Yes, they're definitely separate beasts. On one side, I'm developing content, engaging people on behalf of the firm, both candidates and clients, to attract them, to get our message out there, to be an evangelist for the firm. On the other side, I'm actually doing just straight up sourcing work. Our sourcing team is focused just on sourcing. They only do a sourcing piece. They don't cross over into marketing. I'm the only person who's kind of living in both worlds at the moment, so which is interesting and fun.
Yeah, for sure. So we're just about out of time. Or pretty well out of time.
Wow,
how did that go so fast? I know. Did we talk about EB fluff? Probably not. But we talked about lots and lots of stuff.
Yeah.
It's true.
Well, I think you're in agreement with me, though. You bring it back down to a very personal. Like, you get the idea that it's important, but you still bring it very much down to a recruiter level, which is what I think it needs to be. Like you
Absolutely.
said.
And to cover the employer branding front, it's not fluff. It's a legitimate component of being successful, in our current market. So,
but don't suffocate the recruiters.
Don't do that.
Yeah, because that's what happens. That's the problem when that happens. The suffocation's my problem with it. But yeah, no, I completely agree.
It's true.
Be worth be someone worth talking to, be a company worth talking to. I think really, it's as simple as that. It's getting overcomplicated. So.
Yep, that's the tagline right there, I think.
Yeah. Let's make it easy. You made me feel at home by saying thing earlier on. Oh God, what have I done? Oh, I'm going to ignore that. Audra, who's next week?
Next week is Carrie Noon. We're going to talk Instagram and employee-generated content. So it's going to be interesting. And it's going to be the opposite of those companies where they don't let you use Facebook. This is the opposite. Getting them to be advocates, getting them to produce their own content. Because how great is that? You don't, as marketing, you don't have to do it all. The employees do it. You can just encourage them. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And it's going to be. We're going to convince you that Instagram is worth it next week, Audra.
Yeah.
You've had half of it this week from Zach.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
Make sure you come back again.
Absolutely, anytime.
Awesome.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good weekend.
Bye.